Welcome to a very cold and very windy Isle of Wight. Today I'm starting my first leg of the Round the Island coastal path. I'm starting down in Totland, so just in Totland Bay, just down there behind me. I've already had a couple of issues getting on the path. There's some works going on down there and I'm expecting a few parts of the path to not be open. I've heard a few places have sort of fallen in and you're going to have to make detours around. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, if there is a bridge. Otherwise, we'll just be swimming in the sea. So today we are heading, as I said, from Totland, and we're heading all the way round to Cowes. Our first stop, though, is down in Yarmouth. So Yarmouth is kind of like your last stop before you get to Cowes, the last proper stop. There's a couple of pubs on the way, but we'll check those out when we get nearer. But yeah, if you want to stop and you want to have food, Yarmouth's your next best place after Totland. Also, if you are in Totland, you've got on the front, there's a place called The Hut, which is very good. There's a lot of seafood, quite expensive, but apparently the food is very good down there. And you get a few celebrities down there. So let's get off to Yarmouth and we'll check out what we got in Yarmouth. It wasn't due to rain today. Guess what? Anyway, we're heading just into the woods now, so hopefully we'll get a bit of cover in there. Otherwise, this could be quite soggy. Our first real landmark after the holiday camp back there is Fort Victoria. Now, it's a little country park that you walk through, which is where we are now. But you can actually walk down and walk inside and around the fort. I think there's a cafe down there. I think there's an art gallery down there. But we'll go down and have a look. So it is the winter here, so the cafe isn't open and nor are any of the other things. But there is a museum and gift shop down here. There's an HMS Gladiator exhibition for a boat that sank out in the sea. There's also a planetarium, so definitely worth a stop off here. I've deviated from the route ever so slightly. I've come through the woods and down onto the beach side here, and we're just going to walk along and rejoin a bit further down. So I'm nearly at Yarmouth now. You'll see a little bit of wildlife along here. Just seen a little cormorant diving down through there. But just up past Yarmouth, the other side of it, you can walk up through the nature trail. It's an absolute bird spotter's dream up through there. So definitely worth checking out. But we're not going to go up there today. As I said, we're just heading to Yarmouth. We'll have a little look around the town, see what there is. As I said, this is probably the last stop you want to stop at, maybe to get lunch, that you're definitely going to get something, because some of the other places might not be open on the way, especially this time of year. So yeah, let's go and have a look. So if you are going to stop in Yarmouth, you've got a huge amount of choice of something to eat down there. There's everything from every sort of budget. You've got your general bakery down there to your high-end fish restaurants. So if you're going to stop for food, I totally recommend stopping in Yarmouth. Make sure as you come out of Yarmouth that you don't end up going the wrong way. You can end up down on the beach and you need to actually walk along the road, which is quite busy, unfortunately, and make your way down onto the path about 275 yards down the way I'm going. It is quite a busy road and you've got to walk on the road. There's no pathway. Well, there's a bit over the other side, which I'm going to cross over to now. But I wouldn't recommend doing it in the dark. But I'm not your mum, so do what you like. So here's the coastal path, just a little bit further up the road. So we're just heading down to Boldner Cliff, which is on the coastal path. 8,000 years ago, they reckon there were people living down there on the front. So they found evidence of tools and trinkets and all sorts of stuff down on the beach here. But yeah, it's been inhabited for many a year. So it's relatively muddy down through Boldner, but it's not too bad. You can get around it. If it was particularly wet, I'd say you could have a problem. But it's had a little bit of rain recently, but not too much, so I'm all good. So I lied. It's incredibly muddy, a bit further up the path. There is another route through the field that I probably should have taken, but I'm an idiot, so I'm gonna just walk through it. Yeah, good luck. So yeah, it looks like there was a route that you could take through the field, sort of behind me there. But no, I went through the little sty over there, so I'd advise going through the field because there's nothing else extra to see down that way, and it is a lot drier up here. So here in Boldner, they discovered a Mesolithic hunting site. So they found all sorts of bits and pieces, hunting tools. I guess they would have got a lot of fish from out here as well, obviously. But there'd have been a lot of rabbits up here as well. There's a lot of rabbits about today, so I would have thought there would have been some back then as well. So just a quick one, if you're coming out of Boldner Forest, you just need to pay a little bit of attention to the coastal path. And you're sort of halfway up this roaded area. It shoots off to the right, and it's quite a narrow entrance into it. I don't know if you can just see it behind there, just there. So don't miss it, otherwise you'll end up in the wrong place. So it's a bit sunny where I am at the moment, but it looks like it's absolutely hooning it down over there. So hopefully we're going to stay dry, but if not, we don't. As far as what to wear when you're doing this, I've just got a waterproof jacket, I've got waterproof boots, but my trousers are just sort of that nylon-y sort of stuff. Oh, this is great. It has just started raining, so might be needing that rain jacket. So I've just had a little diversion off the track just into Shelfleet. You just want to make sure you don't go to the left down here or across the field back there. You need to head right down the hill, otherwise you'll end up coming back to the same place that's actually shut. So just make sure you're following the signs correctly and keep an eye out for any diversions. Being an island, obviously there's a lot of coastal erosion. That's why a lot of these paths are shut. But they do their best to keep most of them open, but there's just sometimes you just can't really have any chance of keeping them open. If you're into foraging, you're going to have a field day down here because we're just heading up towards Shelfleet. This field is absolutely full of sloes. So there's the blackthorn behind us and the sloes on it. So if you want some sloes, come and grab them because they're here. So if you are going to stop off in Shelfleet, the New Inn is where you're going to want to go. Really good food. I've been there before myself. I'm not going to stop there today, but definitely worth going in there and grabbing some food because it is good, or having a pint. So yeah, good place to stop off on the way. Just a little caveat, if you are going to go to somewhere like the New Inn or anywhere on the island outside of season, do check that places are open. That isn't open today. It doesn't open until Thursday, and it's, what, Tuesday today, so you've got a bit of a wait if you want a pint. So just be aware again, if you're walking from Shelfleet through to Cowes, there's quite a busy road you have to walk along. So you just come past the scout camp, and as I said, look, it's quite a busy, fast road, so just be careful. Just coming out to Newtown, and this is Newtown Town Hall. It used to be a parliamentary borough, so it's quite an important place back in the day. Built in around the 1600s. Let's go check it out. Well, so I thought it was just going to be the roads that were going to be a problem with busy traffic. But I think we've got to be worried about this as well. Really dodgy over this side of the island, really dodgy. So again, just after Newtown, there is quite a lot of road walking. There's a lot of fast roads as well, so you've just got to be careful. As I said earlier, there's no way I'd do this at night because it's just not safe at all. But I think we're going to be getting back onto more of a coastal route just up here. So another place to stop off on the route is the Sportsman's Rest. That's here in Porchfield. Again, I don't know if they're open today. As I said earlier, you might want to just check they're open before you get here. But yeah, definitely on the route, definitely worth stopping off here. So just to reiterate, just be careful on those roads. Some silly biddy just knocked into me in a little yellow car. I'm fine, but I don't think she was looking where she was going. I think the sun was in her eyes. Anyway, come to the top of Porchfield and you can cut across this field down to Totland Bay, and that's where we're going now. This is proper muddy stuff. Definitely get some good footwear, because if I hadn't had these boots on, my feet would be absolutely soaked right now. So as you come out of the muddy field, just after Porchfield, coming up towards Totland Bay, but just be careful because the sign isn't very easy to see. It's a bit overgrown, and there's a sign the other side is pointing in the opposite direction, so just check you're going the right way. So once you get through the muddy field, you get through the muddy woods, you end up in Totland Bay holiday camp, and we just walk through here and continue the route. So apologies for the sound because I've not got my microphone on. But this is the problem. There's a few of these bits of the route that say they're closed and there's no diversion around them. I'm just going to try and get around this and see what's going on a bit further ahead. But it's a bit annoying because it's on the route that I've looked at and just can't find a way around. So no, that was a dead end. So I'm going to head on to the beach and see if I can find my way up from there. I'm pretty sure I'm on the right route now. There aren't any signposts coming up, so just walk along the beach a little while and then come up the little path that I'll just show you a little video of. So I've just stacked it back there, cut my hand open, but never mind. Here's the question. At what age is it falling over? And at what age is it having a fall? Answer in the comment section below. So that section up from Totland Bay has probably been the most difficult part of today, to be honest with you. Bit of scrambling up, but it's not too bad, but you definitely want some good footwear on. So there's been some incredibly overgrown areas that I've just come through. it's still not very well signposted, and I've just got a bit further down out of Totland Bay, and there's another big bit of scrambling to go. So I don't know if I'm going the right way or not, because I haven't seen any signs, but there weren't any telling me to go another way. So let's have a go. So I did make it across, but it's not easy. If you've got mobility issues at all, then I wouldn't even attempt that. I'd maybe go around the roadway. So I can see girded now just off in the distance. Well, not too far up there anyway. I wouldn't recommend doing this too much in the dark because some of the terrain isn't so great and there's a few holes in the ground which you might miss, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. I set off around 9:30 this morning, but I've been sort of stopping in little bits on the way, doing a little bit of filming. So you could probably do it a lot quicker than I have. And it's just coming up to sort of, 5 o'clock now. So you can definitely make much better time than I have. So I just thought I'd mention that the views on this particular leg aren't great. There's some good views at the beginning, like in Totland Bay and round sort of in Yarmouth as well. But you don't get to see much of the sea on the way round on this one until you sort of get nearer to Cowes. But the second half of this trip will be some absolutely spectacular views going all the way around. So it's definitely worth it. And I think it's probably worth starting that end of the island as well, because it builds it up to something really good at the end. So this sign may explain a lot why I'm struggling to get through there. Path closed. Strange, because there was no diversions going round, which there were further back in the journey. I'll check it out online and see what I can find, but there was nothing to say that I couldn't walk along there. So here I am. So this bit's a little bit shady. Just got to drop down onto the beach and walk along. Hopefully I'm going to see another sign to say where to go, but again, it's not very, it was signposted down to the beach, but I'm assuming I'm going in the right direction. But it is getting dark now, so it's probably my own fault. So it's obviously pretty dark now, as you can see. I've just scrambled over a few rocks up there, which is probably a bit of a stupid idea. So 1-star review, would not recommend. So I've just taken shelter in here because it's really started hooning it down. So I'm just going to stay here till it sort of goes away a bit. I'm just going to head to the very last bit into Cowes. I wouldn't recommend doing any of that in the dark. It was really stupid coming across the beach like that. So don't be a dick, like me, and just take the route round. There is an alternative route that goes around the roadway. Take you a bit longer, but yeah, do that. So I finally made it to Cowes. This is what it looks like in the daytime. So just a few takeaways from the day. There's a lot of problems on that route coming through. You've got a lot of waterlogged fields. There's a lot of the woodland that is also waterlogged too. If you can get through that, you'll be fine. Don't leave it too late though, because you don't want to be coming through any of that, especially the stuff at the end in the dark. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed now. I'm aching a little bit. My ankles hurt more than anything, but I'm sure after a bit of sleep I'll be fine. Just a quick shout out to the guys at the Pier View for feeding me. Absolutely fantastic in there. So Cowes is a really good place to stop because there's absolutely tons of places to eat down there. And as again, you can eat on any budget down there as well. So you've got everything down there. Anyway, I'm off to bed. I'll see you in the morning. So it's pouring with rain this morning. I think I'm going to give it a little while. It's supposed to be a bit better this afternoon. Well, later this morning, but I'll wait and see. It's a much shorter route for me today, so I'm only going from Cowes to Ryde. But hopefully this will clear up and it won't be too bad. So it has stopped raining, but it's blimmin' cold this morning. It's pretty icy. I think it was a bit of snow in here about half an hour ago. So anyway, I'm just heading up to the floating bridge and across to East Cowes and then up past Osborne House. Let's go. So there is part of the route that you can take into Newport up through the River Medina and then back down to East Cowes, but to be honest, it's not really worth doing. There's not much to see up there, and it's a much nicer route going across the Chain Ferryway. It's a much more fun way of getting across to East Cowes as well. So let's get on the floating bridge. So it's £1 to get across on the floating bridge if you're a foot passenger, which isn't too bad. Only takes about 5 minutes, and then we're straight into East Cowes. If you do need anything, you can stop in East Cowes. There's a few cafes here. There's a Waitrose, all sorts around here. Not as busy as West Cowes, but if you need a few supplies, then it's a good place to stop as well. Thank you. I'm just coming up to Osborne House. It's where Queen Victoria loved to hang out. It's a great place to stop if you can, if you've got time. If you're doing this in more than sort of 6 or 7 days, then maybe include this as somewhere you want to stop off. I haven't got time for that, so I'm going to carry on down there. What I would say as well though is just opposite there is a pub, the Prince of Wales, so that'll be a good stop off on the way. But yeah, Osborne House is here. Just a little bonus tip, right next to the Prince of Wales is an Isle of Wight fudge company called Slab. I've had a lot of Slab in the past, which you can probably see. Definitely worth stopping and grabbing some. It'll be great for putting in your pocket when you're going for a walk. So Whippingham is the next town we go through, and then we head on up into Wootton. So if you look out for the primary school down in Whippingham, you just turn left and we're walking through to Wootton now. Like yesterday, there's a bit of road walking, but nothing like it was yesterday. It's not as busy at all. This is a very quiet back road that goes through from Whippingham through to Wootton. It feels a lot safer. You're not having to worry about cars passing you very close. So yeah, much better. So just a little tip for you. Once you get to the top of Palmer's Road, it's going to tell you to go left on the coastal path. Ignore it. Go right and then head first left and you'll end up going down Wootton High Street. You're not missing much out. You're just walking around the back of people's houses. But if you walk down the high street, there's places to stop and get a drink. There's a little Tesco's down there and there's a few little shops down in town as well. So you've got a couple of places to eat in Wootton. You've got Seabo, which is good, I've been there before. Also got the Sloop, which is now called Stonehouse at Tide Mill. It's like a carvery and pizza place. So they're your last real places to stop off before Ryde though, if you're going that way. So I have just deviated from the route ever so slightly coming through Wootton into Fishbourne. I've come up through the main road just because where it's been raining a bit, it might be a bit boggy down the back lanes. You're not missing too much by just carrying on up the main road and turning back down into Fishbourne. But next stop is Core Abbey. So if you're coming to the island to do this walk, Fishbourne might be a good place to start. The car ferry comes in from Portsmouth here and you can start from here. So there's no right or wrong way of doing the Isle of Wight coastal path. Start anywhere, but there are certain places you might want to start from more than others, especially if you're coming over by boat. Also, if you need to stay in hotels, it's going to be easier in certain places than others, which I'll go into later. So although it's a shorter route today, there's actually a lot more to see on this route. We had Osborne House back outside of Cowes, and now we're coming up to Core Abbey, which is just outside of Ryde. So let's go and have a look. So Core Abbey is another great stop off on the route. You've got a little cafe down there and you can go and walk around in the abbey. But you've also got these little pigs running around in the garden. So it was founded here in 1132, but it's been rebuilt. This isn't the original abbey. So it's coming up with something being here for nearly 900 years now, so it's been here a while. So it's very different in here from any other monastery I've ever been in. It feels very new and very modern, but it's very old at the same time. So yeah, really interesting place. So I'm just going to stop off for a quick bite to eat before I head back through to Ryde. Just going to head into the tea shop here, get a cake or something. So I've just grabbed a Bakewell slice. It's nice and warm in here. So just going to eat this and head off to the last leg for today. So one thing I would say about today is the terrain has been much better and the signposting has been much better as well. There's been no part of the day that I've been unsure about where I'm going. Physically, it's also been a lot easier today. There's been no clambering over any obstacles or having to drag myself through brambles. It's been pretty good. So after you've left Core Abbey, just follow the main route, come up through the golf course here in Ryde, and then we turn left down onto the coastal path again. So I finally made it to Ryde. I'm going to do a slight deviation again off of the coastal path. We're going to go straight across down here and we're going to head onto Union Street and just walk down there. It's no difference really, you're just literally going down the back street of the main coastal path. And there's a lot more going on down there. You can have a little look at the shops on the way down. And you get a better view of the Solent down there as well, I think. So I'm back at the hotel now. Just before I pop out and get some food, I thought I'd just go over today really. It was a lot easier than the previous day. It was very well signposted today. The route was easy to walk and there was no real problem with diversions around. So overall, a much easier day than the previous day. Right, I'll see you tomorrow. So it's a nice, sunny but a bit cold and windy day today. Just making my way past Ryde Super Bowl and then along to Puckpool Park and then along to Sea View. What you instantly notice on this part of the route is you've got the sea. It's the first time we've really had a good look at the sea for any sort of period of time on the route. I think we're going to find that for most of the day today, apart from when we go up through Bembridge, or like after Bembridge. But yeah, it's a lot prettier, and there's a lot more to see on this part of the route. So in the summer down here, this is one of the best beaches on the island. It's a really great place to come and swim, but a little bit too cold for that today, I'm afraid. I don't think there's anyone brave enough to be out there today. If you're thinking of wild camping on the route, which I know some of you are, there are showers here in Ryde that you can use, but obviously it's the middle of winter here at the moment, so that's going to be pretty cold for you. But in the summer, you've got a good chance to shower there. And I believe there's some showers down in Sandown, but we'll check that out later when we get nearer. So I'm attempting this coming up to the shortest day of the year, so one of my biggest concerns is how much light I've got during the day to complete the route. If you're coming in the summer, you've obviously got a lot longer to do it, but what you might want to consider is if you want to explore any of these places on the way, you might not want to just do it in 4 days. You might want to do it in 5 or 7 days, and then you can really get to explore the area. So our first landmark today is Apley Tower, built by the Hutt family in 1875. It's a really interesting little building, this, right on the front. I think it was built as a little folly for the main house, which was a bit further up. But yeah, a really cool little castle on the beach. So you do have an option here to take a slight deviation. If you want to go through Puckpool Park, you can come out the other side and you'll come out exactly where we're going. It's an old military fort and it is worth looking around, but I'm going to carry on going this way today. So there is a stop off you can take just before you get to Sea View. That's the boathouse here. You just want to stop and get some lunch, but you can also stay there as well because it is a hotel too. So if you're looking for somewhere to stay, this might be a good option for you. So just coming into Sea View now. Interesting fact about Sea View. It's got one of the highest second home ownership rates anywhere in the country. So there's not a huge amount of people that live here all year round. Anyway, you've got a few shops up here in town, a few cafes and a few restaurants as well. So it's definitely worth a stop off on the way. So I just bumped into a lady back there who said you can actually walk along the beach here when the tide's out. So you don't need to go up into Sea View town. But the tide's in today, so no chance of that.
Celebrity gossip.
So I've heard a rumour that Madonna actually has one of the houses along here. I don't know how true that is. Might just be one of those local stories you hear. But yeah, apparently she lives just along there. So one big standout today, coming through from Ryde to Sea View. A lot of toilets on the way, so if you do need to use the toilet, you have got that. There hasn't been anything like that on the rest of the route. I'm just making my way across the Dover at Bembridge. Loads of wildlife down here, loads of bird life down here. Probably the prettiest part of the route so far. I think all the way through from Ryde to here has been really good. There's been something to look at all the way through the route, so it's been the best so far. As I've said before, I'm doing this in the winter, and this has been so far the coldest part of the route. I've got some gloves on, so you're going to need to pack some of that in your kit. I'll go through a kit list at some point, but you're definitely going to need some warm weather gear, especially if it gets cold like it is now. But it's definitely doable any time of the year, this route. When you've come across the Dover, you'll then turn left and you'll come past a load of houseboats. If you go a little bit further, you've got the Pilot Boat Inn. Now, that's a restaurant and a hotel, so if you do want to stay the night, that might be a good place to stop. So first real bit of scrambling I've had to do is down here on Bembridge Beach, by the lifeboat station. You might just want to check tide times as well, because I think if the tide was right up, you wouldn't necessarily be able to get through this bit. I don't know, there might be another bit of route that goes through round. In fact, there definitely is, but it wasn't signposted. It's not a particularly long part of the route that you'd have to scramble over. But as I said, if the tide was right in, I think you'd be getting wet feet coming across there. You can actually walk up the lifeboat station there behind me. I think they have special open days as well, where you can go and see them launching the boats. I thought there was a cafe back there, but there's not. So we're just going to push on, and I think we're going to make our way around the coast here and up to Culver. Just be aware if you come past the lifeboat station back up into town, just to look out for the sign, because that one there wasn't particularly clear. It looks like they've even cleared the fence recently, so just watch out for that one, otherwise you'll end up completely the wrong place going up there. So it's been much more epic views today than I've experienced in either of the two other days. It's just endless sea along here. You can see right off into the horizon. You can only just about see land over there towards Portsmouth and Southsea over that way. Oh, these views are incredible. So another stop off we've got here is the Crab and Lobster. You can also stay there tonight, so again, another place you might want to think about stopping. So it's not incredibly clear by the signage, but you do come past the Crab and Lobster and you turn right and you just follow the road round inland a little bit. And that is where we find our first proper coastal path diversion of the day. We are back on the right track, hopefully. So another slight detour on the way to Culver. This looks quite new, this route. It's quite good as well. It's been properly sort of installed right through the woods here, so it's quite a nice bit to walk on. And if you want to see why there's a few coastal path diversions, check this out. As I said, you want to get down and do this walk before it's not here anymore, because a lot of this is falling into the sea quite rapidly. So there is another stop off here at the Whitecliff Bay Holiday Camp, but this time of year nothing's open, but there's somewhere to get an ice cream up there when it's open, so that'll be quite nice in the summer. So So we're just back down right on the coast, on the beach here. Check out this. This is Whitecliff Bay Beach. Absolutely stunning. So I've followed the signs again and it's brought me down here onto the beach. It's a nice little cafe back there, but again, not open this time of year. But I just want to point out, I've come down here and I'm assuming that the path goes around on the beach. But again, if the tide's in, I don't think you can do this. So yeah, as I thought, I think that is the correct route. But you want to check the tide times, because if that comes right in there, you're not going to be able to get through there. So I'm not quite sure what that place was, but it looks like they want your shells. But it looks like they also want your shoes. Yeah, have a look. So this is probably one of the steepest parts of the route, just coming up to Culver, but the views are totally worth it. You can see the entire route that I've just walked and a lot of the route that I'm going to walk tomorrow. Right next to the Lord Yarborough Monument, we've got the Culver Haven, which is a pub up here. Great place to stop and have some food. It seems to be open pretty much all the time as well, so even if we're coming this time of year, you can go in there. Anyway, I'm not going to stop there. I'm carrying on down to Sandown, which is where I'm going to stop today. Sandown's got a bit of a reputation of being a little bit run down and not so great anymore. There does seem to be a lot of work going on though. It does seem to be a lot of new places coming up, replacing the old stuff that's not so great. And definitely go and check out the pier, because it's one of the best piers in the UK. It is your typical seaside fare for the UK, but definitely worth going and checking it out. And the views up the end are brilliant. So more toilet spotting. So yeah, as you come down off Culver, there are some more toilets there. I thought there used to be showers there as well, but it doesn't look like there's any over there. Actually, no, I think there are. They're outdoor showers though, so you're only going to want to really use them in summer. But yeah, another toilet on the route.
So I'm just going to head to bed. I got an early start tomorrow because it's quite a long part of the route tomorrow. But today was all right. It wasn't too bad. It was pretty easy to find everywhere. There was no problems on the route really. I'm not sure. When I ended up on the beach, I think I actually went the wrong way there. So it might have been me rather than the signs being wrong. But anyway, I'm going to head to sleep and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
So the sun's just coming up. Luckily the ice cream shop's open. It's about -2 here at the moment, so at least it'll keep your ice cream cool as you're walking along. Anyway, I'm heading through to Ventnor right now. Just had a decent night's sleep and hopefully today it will be as uneventful as yesterday, but we'll see. It is pretty cold this morning, but it's supposed to be quite a nice day today, so there's no rain due, so that's the best thing. I think it's going to get up to about a whopping 8 degrees this morning. Anyway, my feet are starting to feel it a bit now. Got a couple of blisters, but get some Compeed in your bag and it'll be fine. Anyway, onwards to Ventnor. So I've put the hood up because it's pretty cold this morning. Bit of ice still about. Now you can obviously do this route clockwise or anti-clockwise. There's a reason why I'm doing it clockwise. The views are incredible going over this way, especially today, which hopefully we'll see later if the weather's clear. You've got some much better views that are in front of you than are behind you. So I would recommend doing it clockwise rather than anti-clockwise. So one benefit of getting up this early is you get an absolutely fantastic sunrise behind me. Anyway, we're heading along Shanklin seafront. A few places you might want to stop for a drink along here. Nothing open this time in the morning. I'm just a little bit confused because I thought the path went above the lift up the top there. I've just checked on the map that I'm following and no, it does say it's going along. I know you can get up further, so we'll go and have a look down there. But yeah, a little bit of confusion there. But I'm sure we'll be fine going back up. I was right to come along the front, past the arcade back there. You can see the sign just in front of me now. So don't follow the red squirrel trail. Although, saying that, it's quite a good alternative. If you want to be above everything, you can just walk up there, along this bit. But no, we're going to head along the proper coastal path. So another place you might want to stop off is Shanklin Chine. So I think it's one of the oldest tourist attractions on the Isle of Wight. It's very pretty in there, so you can go through there and you can then even come up in town up here, so that'll bring you back onto the route. I'm not sure how much it is, but it's just here. So first closure today, first diversion, but there aren't any signs telling me where to go, so I'm assuming it's just up the hill here, but we'll have to wait and see because I can see some more bollards up there. I do know we can go back around and go up into town though, so if we have to do that, we'll do that. So I'm going to assume that this is the way to go. So we're right. Yeah, so looking at it, there's a bit just back here, which I'm guessing was that original footpath, so pretty sure we're on the right route again. This is Shanklin Old Village. Good place to stop off. There's a couple of pubs around here. If you just go a little bit further back there, there's the main town as well. Again, this might be a good place if you want to break the journey up. Might be a good place to stay the night. So we're expecting the next part of the journey to be the most difficult to navigate. We're heading from Shanklin to Ventnor, and there's been a little bit of a landslip recently. Well, quite a big landslip recently. So I think a lot of the route has been rerouted. So we'll find out when we get a bit further along. So, bit of a problem. Completely closed. No diversion. I think what I'm going to do is head up onto the main road into Ventnor and do that way. It's a bit annoying though because there's nothing to say where you'd go, and I don't know if that's like a last minute sort of closure there, but not great. Let's head back where we were. So unfortunately I think by going this way I think we're going to miss out going through Bonchurch, but hey, at least we know we're going to get through going this way. As I said, I've had to come up on the road from Shanklin towards Ventnor. I'm heading down Bonchurch Shoot now. I'm hoping I can get back onto the route down here. Obviously this isn't a normal diversion. I don't know, maybe I've gone somewhere wrong back there. Today it looked like that was closed, and it looked like it had been closed quite recently, so I had to come up on the road. Not very interesting, quite busy, but I'm here now in Bonchurch, so let's check it out. So we are back on track. I've just found the coastal path diversion sign. It's the first one I've seen today, which is a bit odd because, where is it? There it is. First one I've seen today, so I don't know where we went wrong. But yeah, back en route now. I'm hoping we're going to get straight onto the beach down here and straight along to Ventnor. But let's have a look. So I'm just coming down past East Dean. I think I stayed here as a small child, as a school trip, but memory is a bit shaky these days. But you know what your memory's like when you get a bit older. But yeah, I think they're all ready for Christmas. Don't think the bear's having too much fun there. So I've made it down onto the coast again. We're back on the coastal path. I'm hoping that that's going to be the biggest sort of problem we're going to have today. I think most of it on the way back through, bar a few bits on the sort of West Wight area, I think most of it's still there. But we might have to do a little bit of road walking later. But yeah, we've made it down here. Anyway, there's some really nice houses right down here. How do you fancy living in one of these? Right, next stop Ventnor. Hopefully we could have a little stop and have a bit of a drink and maybe something to eat on the way. It's a fair old walk, the Isle of Wight coastal path, but I think this one might take a little bit longer. So I'm not sure how accurate this map is, but it looks like we should be able to go along most of this until at least St Lawrence before we have to come up. So just stopped off in Ventnor, had a quick bite to eat, and now heading on out further on the coastal path. It's a good place to stop off in Ventnor. There's plenty of stuff like down here on the front. Got the Spyglass Inn up this end. Got a couple of cafes back behind me. Another good stop though if you want to sleep overnight. There's plenty to explore up in town. I did another video on it like a little while ago. There's enough to keep you going for an evening, and there's some really good restaurants up there in town as well, so check Ventnor out. Morning! Come on, you can do it! So, the coastal path over this side has been absolutely spectacular. So the coastal route along this part of the island is far better than the rest of it that we've done the last couple of days. It's just endless sea to our left. Just stretches on for miles and miles. There's hardly anyone about. It's a little bit icy this morning, but once the sun's come up, it's absolutely stunning here. This is why you do this sort of walk. So you'll notice along here, there's, hello, morning. So you'll notice along this stretch, there's a lot of benches dedicated to people. There's one back there that says, a lady called Linda adored this view. She ain't wrong, because it's a hell of a view. Absolutely stunning along here this morning. So it's said that Ventnor has got its own little microclimate. It's not wrong, because I've just come along, 100, 200 yards. It's absolutely boiling along here. It's like a completely different place that we've just entered. So I'm just going to have to take my jacket off. I've just seen the route down and it looks amazing. So I know I keep banging on about it, but the views along this part of the route are absolutely spectacular. You've got cliffs to your right and you've got sea to your left, and it's just absolutely stunning. Even more benches dedicated to people along this route. I think they're going to run out of space along here eventually. It's just going to be full of benches. So that's Ventnor back there in the distance now, just having a little rest on a bench. It's got a lot colder coming along this part now. As I said, Ventnor seems to have that little microclimate, and it was so warm back there and now it's so cold. There's actually ice still on the floor around here, so just go easy if you're doing it in the winter. By some locals to take a slightly different route. I've tried to go down on what is signposted as the coastal path. However, it takes you right down to the beach and there's absolutely no way you're getting down there. And they said that if I go along the coastal path here on the top, I won't be able to get through. So I'm going up and along. So yeah, I think if you're coming the opposite way to I'm going, you might actually have been rerouted there, but if you're coming from Ventnor up here, up to St Lawrence, there aren't any diversion signs, which isn't so great, so look out for that. But we're just going to head up on the road for a bit and hopefully end up near Blackgang sometime soon. So I nearly took a bit of a wrong route there. Just be aware that you want to keep going up the hill here. It is signposted, but it's stuck behind a tree, so you might miss it, which is what I did. Anyway, we're going to carry on up. So I just found another little place to stop off. Looks like you can get some drinks and whatever here. St Lawrence Post Office, just on the route as we come up the hill. So I've made it through Knighton now. The only problems I really had was the ground was so solid. It's been, what, -2 or 3 last night? And it's still not thawed out because it's completely in the shade along there. So it's quite hard on your feet, but if it's not frosty, you're not going to have any problems. So a little Isle of Wight fact. The band Wet Leg are from Ventnor. And one of their videos was actually filmed just down here at St Catherine's Lighthouse. So as I said, there is a reason I'm doing this route clockwise. And this is the reason. These views. This would all be behind you if you were going the opposite direction. And you wouldn't get to see much of the Needles, which is over there. So just check out these views. This is why we're doing this walk in this direction. I challenge you to find a better view in the UK than from here, because it is absolutely stunning. So up in the distance is the Needles and the lighthouse at the bottom. It's actually the rocks that are the Needles, not the lighthouse. Anyway, I don't know if we're going to make it down there while it's still light. So what I might do is, if we don't make it down there when it's still light, I'm going to head back up there tomorrow and have a little look around. Because although we can probably walk the route today, I want to really show you the views from up there, because they're some of the best anywhere in the world. So down there, if you look over the edge, you'll see a place called Blackgang Chine. It's one of the oldest theme parks in the country. I think it was opened in the 1840s some point. Still open to this day. A lot of it has fallen into the sea in the past, but you'll find all sorts down there. You'll find dinosaurs, cowboys, all sorts of stuff. Worth checking out, really good for kids. Get yourself down to Blackgang Chine. So until we get along to Compton Bay, apart from the amazing views, there's not a huge amount to talk about. The last thing I'm going to talk about before we go along there though is the White Mouse Inn. It's your last chance to stop and grab something to eat before you go along the trail. There's not a lot else going. I think you've got the Isle of Wight Pearl, which you may be able to stop at and get some food, which is just before Compton. But apart from that, that's it. You're on your own out there. So I'm going to shut up and just check out these amazing views. So I pretty much made it to Compton Bay in the light, but we've lost light now. What I want to do is I want to come back and show you the rest of this route in the light, because there's some really good things I'd like to be able to see in the sunshine. So we'll start this again tomorrow. We'll go back down to Freshwater Bay and we'll continue from there. So we've made it as far as Freshwater Bay. This is probably your first proper stop off since the White Mouse back near Blackgang Chine. Not too much of the journey to go now. We've got to head up onto the Tennyson Trail and some of the best views that we'll have on this entire trip. If you're doing this trip in the summer, you'll find that down here at the lifeboat station, there's normally a pizza van and there's also a bar bus. So if you want to stop off and have a bite to eat and something to drink, this is a really good place to do it. There's also a hotel down here, and there's a lot of Airbnbs that will be in the local area as well. So this is what it's all about. Just check out these views. This is worth the walk itself. So behind me is probably the most iconic site on the Isle of Wight, that being the Needles. So made it as far as Totland Bay, almost nearly at the end of the route now. What I thought I'd do just quickly is go through what you might be wanting to bring with you. The most important thing is probably what you're going to want to wear on your feet. I'd recommend a hiking trainer or a hiking boot. I wouldn't recommend just using normal trainers because there is some quite tough terrain on the route. If you're coming in the summer, shorts are probably going to be fine. But if you're coming in the winter, you might want to have some more substantial hiking trousers. I've got quite a decent hiking rucksack, but you don't need anything quite as substantial as this. But you do want to have something big enough to put your water in, a waterproof jacket, and some supplies to put in your bag to keep you sustained on the route. So as far as my jacket goes, I've got a waterproof shell, But I've also got a lightweight puffer jacket that I've also got in my bag for when it gets particularly cold. You'll also probably want a nice pair of gloves as well, because some of these parts of the route can get quite exposed and quite cold, especially this time of year. And apart from those few things, there's not much else you'll need. So as the sun sets behind us, the sun also sets on our trip around the Isle of Wight coastal path. It's been 75 miles of absolutely gorgeous views. If you haven't already, give this a like. And if you want to subscribe to the channel too, that'll be absolutely fantastic. And if you've got any questions about this route, drop a comment underneath and I'll try and answer your questions the best I can. Anyway, I'll see you next time.